Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's ACY Securities webinar. Let's just take you through what's coming up this week in our webinar series. So tonight we're going to have forex trading live market analysis. That's coming up in a moment or two. Tomorrow evening at 7 p.m, webinar on bringing it all together, all the things that I've been teaching over the last, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks. Going to be bringing all those things together and looking at how you can use all the tools to come up with high probability trading levels. And then on Thursday, again, we've got more analysis at 7 p.m. So that's what's coming up through the week. Now, before we get into it tonight, if you can read through the disclaimer, that'd be great. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch or just use the link that I've given you. You can come into the webinar and ask as many questions as you like. So everybody, please read through the disclaimer. Any questions to the webinar chat or the question and answer box? Azu, hello to you. Hello to everybody. If you're new to the webinars, welcome. All right, so just give everybody enough time to read through the disclaimer. And Shakur, good evening to you. All right, let's move along now. If you don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities, and I'm a full-time forex trader. I've been trading the forex market now for more than 15 years and mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email's there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with me at our website. Go to acy.com, go to the Market News tab. YouTube, you can go to ACY Securities Australia and get my video content there, analysis, and you can also connect with me on Twitter and LinkedIn there. Through the week as well, you can connect with us in our Telegram channel. If you want to get access, just contact Nathan Bray. I'll put his details in the chat in a moment. If you want to get access to my chart layouts and templates, the ones that I use in my webinars, then just contact Nathan too. He'll fix you up. And if you need to set up a demo account to get going, practicing trading, or you want to set up a live account, just contact Nathan. He will answer any questions that you might have regarding anything really that I'm talking about. All right, so his details in the chat there. All right, so let's get into, first of all, the news coming out for the week. Now, it's going to be a highly volatile week at some point on Thursday. And before then, it could be rather range bound. So, and I'm seeing, range boundness everywhere. So let's just get into Forex Factory here. We'll just show the rest of the week. All right, so I'm just looking at the red items, and I'm at forexfactory.com. Red items, time shown on Queensland time, New South Wales time. So there are no news items coming out really for the day. There's FOMC member Harker speaking, but I don't know whether that will really drive the market. But getting tomorrow for China, we have the CPI year on year. That could affect the Aussie crosses for sure. Expecting CPI to be moving down. 1 p.m. New Zealand, inflation expectations QQ. Again, that can definitely drive the New Zealand crosses. And then getting into Thursday, this is the one that the market's waiting for, is the US CPI data, specifically this one, the year on year. What's happening there? We had quite a large drop. I think we moved from 4% down to 3% in the previous month, year on year. So we're expecting maybe a slight tick up. So the market will be looking to see if there's anything there that's showing that maybe inflation is moving back to the upside. Maybe does it need more interest rate decisions to curb, or maybe we'll get a drop. So who knows what's going to happen? All I know is I'm sure it will be highly volatile then. We've got unemployment claims at the same time. And then a similar news event into Friday, we have, we'll just go through them all, but pound GDP figures at 4, and then the big one, 10:30 p.m., we've got the PPI data from the US. All right, so these core PPI and CPI data here, PPI, CPI data, Thursday, Friday, definitely going to drive the market considerably. So be aware of that. And before those events, we could be rather range bound as the market just waits to see what comes. All right. So be aware of it is going to be a volatile week this week. So let's get into the charts. And I don't really need these numbers. This is another thing that I do on a Monday. I do some analysis for the trade. And I need bigger numbers on my charts. Now, this is my daily chart look. Been monitoring on the weekly chart here. This pullback, this weekly trend is down. We've been false breaking now a couple of lows, but structurally it is holding to a downtrend and it's at the 79% fib level here. So this is going to be the big question for the week. Now, if I drop this to the day chart, this pullback, so I'm just going to draw in the swings. That's the weekly move down. This pullback, is it finishing at the 79% level? You can see that once we've hit it there, we've had a sell-off. Are we going to be able to start to move back below support here at 101.89? And maybe are we just going to continue down? Now, where we're at right now, when we started to get this drop down here was when we started to, maybe a day before the last CPI delivery in the month before. So we're pretty much back to where we were before the last CPI data release. So are we just going to simply hold here to move down? Have a similar leg down, okay? That's what I'm anticipating technically, but we have the technicals and we have the fundamentals. And if the fundamentals don't come out as expected, we could see, of course, a different look on the chart. So I'm anticipating that we could just hold the trend there, turn around and continue the downtrend. Of course, if we have much higher CPI data coming out, we could take out this high and that's going to change the weekly trend to up. So we could get a shift. All right. At the moment, it's just, have we rallied and are we topping out? All right. So we can monitor that. Let's have a look at S&P 500. This is a weekly chart look at the moment. It's in an uptrend on the weekly. It's actually in an uptrend on the monthly, gone to a higher top. But this has had many, many months up now. You know, having 1 or 2 months down does not change the trend. Nothing can go up forever. And we are at the 79% area of the larger range there. And on the weekly chart, we are a little bit short of that weekly top there and seeing some natural selling pressure in this area. But as to whether we're getting a major move, you know, if we're going to get a major move, we probably over the next 2 or 3 months, if this is a final like lower top coming in on the monthly chart from this collapse down here, this becomes a lower top to there. You know, we really need to move below here because that could just simply be support on a pullback on this weekly chart perspective for then another move this way. All right, so I'm not getting too excited about any major turnaround up here. We're having a week down. We're seeing a little bit of a downtrend on the day chart. All right, it's all very, what I would say, uniform. All right, we're not having any massive collapses at the moment. All right, now, you know, maybe this is the final top, who knows? If you wanted to look at this as a final top for a long-term move down, I would be monitoring this decline on the daily and look for a high sell up there at the 79% level. Okay. And then you can see whether it turns over and do we start to continue the move down. All right. So if you think we're topping out up here for the long term, we can look to sell a rally, but we're only having a week down at the moment. Nothing goes up forever before we have at least some form of short-term correction. So we'll have to wait and see. Whatever the CPI data brings will probably stimulate this up or down, and then we'll have to reconsider, you know, what we're thinking. At the moment, it's just short-term decline. All right, let's get into, we'll look at the euro pairs first. And I put out on the Eurodollar today and Telegram an area that I'm watching for a pullback to. We're rather range bound. We have a bit of a contrast between timeframes. The weekly trend here is up, having a pullback. A pullback to 79% level. This line here is a daily level of support. And this weekly top here at 110.12, we're just holding just underneath. So our track between support and resistance, the weekly trend is up and the daily trend is down. Lower top, bottom, possibly another lower top there maybe. However, there's an area of consolidation here, and then we broke north from it. And really, we just pulled back to the area of consolidation where we broke. We're actually above the break area at the moment. So for me, this could be a pullback last week to support in the 79% fib. And this could be the bottom point for a move back up the range. That's how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at what is the weekly trend telling me, and are we in an area from a weekly perspective where we would normally put in a higher bottom and potentially turn around. Now, this might form some form of a little inverse head and shoulder here, left shoulder head. We could just pull back to this area and form a right shoulder. That's actually what I'm looking for in general terms. I've been looking at this range. Friday's impulsive move from the job figures, and then looking at the 79% level and down to support. Can we pull back to that area? Now, in true reality, I could use the whole range. If I'm talking about head and shoulder pattern, I could use that whole range. Okay, and the 79% level of the larger range is just underneath support. Everything here lines up with the potential inverse left shoulder here. So this area here, doesn't really matter which way you draw the fib, you come up all pretty much with the same area. The most perfect level would be coming down to retest support. All right. So I should put this out on Telegram like that. And if I drop to the 15-minute chart, that's the range of Friday. So what I'm looking for is a pullback to this area shown, 79%, which is at 109.57. Just get it to the lowest point. 109.57 down to the day chart support. You can see where the support came in on Friday after the job figures. We were just underneath. We spiked down into that area on the 50-minute candle and then went north. So that's where that's where buyers will potentially be if we can get back down to the bottom of the range. All right, now at the moment, we keep continually failing at 110.12. All right. Now, there could be the question that we're failing at 110.12 to move through support, but right now, as I'm talking, you can't sell from 110.12 because we've already topped out up there. So then you either do nothing or you maybe determine that you want to trade to the upside in line with the weekly trend. And if that's so, look to the bottom of the range, where the bottom of the range is down here. So I'm just monitoring to see if we come to the bottom of the range. And we might just stay within this range until Thursday. We could trade down to the bottom, trade back up to 110.12 and back down once more. All right. But at the moment, we're kind of in the middle of the range. That's not a perfect scenario. So I'm just watching this area down here to see if it offers support for the day. Can we trade back up from the area? Euro yen. Now we are actually having a week up this week. Here's a weekly view. I did think after the negative week, well, we actually finished positive last week, but we had a negative kind of rejection candle from the top, that we would just start to move below support, day support at 155.58, but we're not done that yet. All right. So last week, we were failing at the 79% of this range. We've come up, we can't come up to the resistance level. This could still be a lower top area here to that top. All right, as I said last week, I showed a nice little 4-hour head and shoulder pattern setting up here to trade down to support. Is at the moment, we're back above the 79% level. I don't have to do anything today, but if we have a negative candle today, and maybe we just close a little bit underneath the 79% level. You could look tomorrow then with a negative candle today just to look to short at the 79% level if price trades there and put your stop above the high. You know, if we get another rejection up here, then clearly the sellers are holding it there. Can we then start to move down the range? It's difficult to be a buyer at the moment because you're at the top of the range. I mean, price may get pushed through and beyond resistance, but how close do you want to be to resistance at the top of the range when you want to maybe look to buy? All right, so monitoring at the moment. Now, there are actually two ways to trade this still. We could still be heading north above the high, above these highs. This 4-hour is in an uptrend. So if you've got much more of a bias to the upside, then simply watch the 4-hour trend. This could pull back to the 62% level here, which overlaps with that top. And you could look for a turnaround there for, you know, an attempt to move up this way and challenge the high and break above. All right. Now, I'm more inclined to maybe look the opposite way, just because we've failed there last week in this area. Yes, we've gone to a new high, but you can see we tried to move above last week's high and we heavily rejected. So I'm more inclined just to wait a day and see how we close today, and then see if we get a change in structure for a turnaround. We had this nice left shoulder head, right shoulder set up, came down to support. And you can wait for another reversal pattern to form here. You don't just have to jump in. Let price tell you if we are getting a reversal there. So just monitoring up here for a potential reversal once more this week. It has reversed up here once. Well, of course, it reversed over here. But when we revisited, we reversed once, twice last week. Are we going to reverse once more? Okay. The thing that will probably dictate this is what the dollar yen does ultimately. Dollar yen's quite high up in its range where maybe the bodge has been coming in and intervening a little bit. So we're definitely back up to the very high levels on these yen pairs where some intervention might come in from the bodge. All right. Euro pound, it's rather difficult at the moment. It is holding. I'll go to my weekly chart. You have a weekly low here, a weekly low here. That's a monthly low as well. So it's getting a lot of support down here at weekly and monthly supports. It does actually turn the weekly trend to up, then pull back. So we could be putting in a higher bottom here on the weekly to further move up. We had a positive week last week when you look at the weekly chart. You know, when you're looking at the weekly chart, you're not looking at the noise of the day chart and the rejection candles that may be on that time frame, and you just look at the weekly, you go, if we continue in the same vein as last week, we're going to have a week up. And we could then be obviously putting in a higher bottom. We have a higher top, pull back. Are we going to put in a higher bottom this week? All right, so to the day chart, you can see as you get up to weekly 65, weekly 86.58, which is resistance from here. Lots of sellers in that area. So you don't want to be buying anywhere near this area. You want to be buying on a pullback, and clear support would probably be this daily area here at 85.84. If you got deeper down to 85.65, which is weekly support, you can just monitor this range. 62 level overlaps perfectly with support. All right. So that would be a good level to watch for price to move down to, get support, and then reverse back up. Okay. In line with what we're seeing on the weekly chart. Back to the day chart. You know, if we come up to retest weekly resistance this week and you start to see it hold there, maybe price isn't going to move through, and then you can look to trade down. So two areas to watch: 85.84 for supports and once more resistance at 86.58. Still rather range bound. Euro pound can get rather range bound. So, you know, look to see where the outer areas of clear support, clear resistance, where they are, and look to trade at those levels. All right, let's get into the pound. All right, so this is the area I put out this morning on Telegram. We're just coming into the 62 to 79% area at the moment. All right, I'm still using the same philosophy that I've been using over the last couple of weeks, that the weekly trend is up, and I'm looking at any movement down on the day chart as just corrective. And I'm looking to see, so to the weekly chart, here's how I've been drawing the range from this little intermediary low here on the weekly to the high. Last week we pulled back to weekly support, 126.79, and rejected 79% level. Now that weekly trend is still up. Till we break this minor low here, this is a significant low, this is a minor low, but breaking that minor low will probably change the trend, but we can't break it at the moment. So are we putting in a bottom here? Nice rejection Thursday, the actual low of Friday after the news came down to retest the weekly support level, held for a move up on Friday, positive day yesterday. And again, looks very similar to the euro dollar. We're trapped between support and resistance. This time it's weekly support to daily resistance. So it's 126.79 and 127.97 are the levels. All right, now 2 positive days up from support, almost 3 with that hammer. Are we going to be moving up this week? That's what I'm looking at. It's a little bit mixed here. You got a higher bottom, lower top. It's not wanting to commit yet above 127.97, the daily resistance. And this was the move up yesterday. All right, so I'm monitoring the range of yesterday. Looking for a pullback within the range to find support to trade up for another test of 127.97. So I'm just monitoring this area to see whether it can start to hold, and do I see price turning around in a fashion that I like. Can I see a trend line break to the upside? All right, just monitoring that area at the moment. Now, there's another range that you could monitor depending what this price does as it moves down. If it doesn't hold, you could monitor that range as well from Friday's trading. I see a nice level down there at 79% level, and the figure 12700 down there. So just watching this first area. But if this just falls straight down through, then I would be watching lower down here. Edwin, you're saying you're looking more at weekly support. Well, the weekly support level will be perfect, assuming that we can get down there, but we heavily rejected it on Friday's job figures. So whether or not we can get down there once more, that's the question. Now, as you're saying, and as I've just highlighted, this is a very good low level, but it's a question of whether we can get down to low levels. We had a positive day Friday, a positive day Monday. We may only trade within the range of Mondays today before moving up. So it depends how patient you want to be, and do you want to miss out trying to get into the lowest level. So at the moment, this isn't turning around just yet. So, I mean, it might just continue down, and then you could be watching for the lower level for sure. All right, pound yen. Now, let's go to my day chart. In fact, I'm going to go to the weekly chart. Now, weekly chart finished with a very heavy rejection candle. False broke a number of day chart tops. And then I was thinking, okay, maybe we're going to break down through monthly support, which is 180.41, and challenge daily support. Of course, we can see that as the week has started, we are heading back up. Still in the range of last week, so maybe we're just coming up to the high areas of last week to top out. But we have now the fact that we couldn't break below support, we've put in a higher bottom, which makes a mess of looking for a reversal in the short term, because do we have now an uptrend on the day chart? Higher top, come down to a higher bottom, which puts, doubt in my mind, in this trading day anyway, doubt in my mind. If we get a negative candle today that once more closes below 182.28, we could be putting in a lower top, some little form of maybe left shoulder, head, right shoulder here to the 4 hour. All right, so this is an uptrend on the 4 hour at the moment. A little bit difficult to go short, I think, at the moment, because we're sitting on day chart support as well. Let's just draw a fib across there. If this is some form of left shoulder, head, this is a much higher right shoulder though at the moment. You really want to start to see price moving back below this high to the left here, which I've been focusing on, because at the moment the last two candles are rejecting and sitting there. So that would need to move below in my mind and become a little bit more like resistance for me to maybe think about engaging to the short side. Now, if we get a negative candle on the day chart today, closing below 182.28, then you can look to tomorrow's trading and look to structure something to get short, ideally at 182.28 being resistance. All right. So there's the start of Monday, I think, down here, and we just sat on support and traded up. Couldn't break support. So this could go either way, could go up or down. It's rather consolidatory. Of course, we're at very high levels, but if the pound starts to head up north strongly, potentially then the pound yen's going to follow suit. Potentially. Pound yen's been maybe the strongest pair out of them all over the last 6 months. So tricky one there at the moment. To go short, you really need to see a clear break below the high that we folks broke last week. We're not having that yet. All right, let's get into Edwin, you're saying on the pound, head and shoulder on the pound, are you saying? What were you saying? Yeah. Well, there's a 4 hour one there that's probably running out. This could come back down. Are you saying coming back down to support to maybe form another right shoulder to the one that's already formed there? That's potentially possible. And maybe you're also saying, let me just clear this off a bit, that I don't see one on the daily, although you could, say that this, whilst this isn't anywhere near this area, that could, that's acting as support there. That's a false break, and we could come down to the area and form some formation of a head and shoulder. It's not a textbook one, but I would, certainly say that that's support from that low and that high. That's a false break. So if we came back to support held, it would form some kind of head and shoulder pattern scenario for sure. Yep. All right, I'm just putting my marks back in. And that range Friday. All right, let's get into Aussie yen, which has just been holding on this weekly top. Just bounce back up to this resistance. And, I've been saying on the monthly chart, as we're heading up to the highs, that we could form a head and shoulder pattern at the top. And that's kind of dictating what's happening at the moment. We're negative last month. This is the new month coming down. Are we actually forming this head and shoulder pattern for, if that is a head and shoulder pattern, the target for that pattern would be down at the 127 extension. for the first big move down. That's down at 82.71. At the moment, it's got lots of support in its way on the weekly chart. Number of tops here, 1, 2, 3. First one being 93.03. But potentially we're putting in a lower top here. And this may be just a question of this just needs to erode the orders to trade down through. Sometimes it's not easy getting through these areas. So, but the higher time frames, I think, are maybe dictating the direction. And that fair up there, that holding there is coming from where we failed at last year. So looking back on your weekly chart at where we failed last year at the highs, we can often fail there this year at the same level. And you can see there, even though we moved above those highs and then we came back down, that's where we've been failing over the last week to 2 weeks. So that's a weekly resistance level of significance. So we're just sitting on, we're in an awful area here. Today, if you're wise up here at 93.76, knowing that's day chart resistance, you could be looking up there, but it's too late now. Now we're on day support, and a little bit low, we've got weekly support. So it's in a horrible area. You might be thinking, are we forming a lower top here? Which could be correct, but do you want to sell into support? Probably not. All right. See, it's very choppy, up and down on the 4-hour chart. So your best option at the moment would to be try to see if we can get a rally, because you can see it moved up, moved down, moved up, moved down. This could easily come back up to here over the next 24 hours. Okay, this could get some support down here to move back up there. That's where we're failing. Is the higher time frame is going to dictate the trends? Look to sell a rally. All right, that's how I'll be looking at this at the moment. This trend here on the 4-hour chart is well, it was up, but maybe it's down now, or is it mixed? All right, you could be, let's say we hold at support and we rally back up. What you will see is there's a 79% level up here. All right, so I would be looking to sell a rally with the higher time frame trends I'm looking at, and resistance if it can operate that for you. All right, for the potential for support to break. Now, support might break on this move down, but I don't like to sell into support, so I'd have to wait for that support to break and then look to see how price sets up after that. I'm not going to sell into support. So I'll just monitor there for a potential rally back to 93.76 level there, if it can offer. Aussie dollar is continuing its downtrend. Now, I did say on Thursday, put it out on Telegram, and I said in the webinar, watch 65.95. That was Friday's move. Yesterday, we got a fraction short, continuing its downtrend. So there's always a specific time and place where the best time is to sell, and it was looking up at the high area here. This is not the time to sell because you're trading into support and you're at the bottom of the move. All right, now we could be moving down to the low of the year. All right, and we could be dealing with a double top here. So looking for an opportunity to get short would be the goal at the moment. That was probably Friday's chance for the best option. All right, and if we start to break down, if the CPI data comes out very much in the favor of the US, excuse me, then we could certainly be targeting the double top price projection down here at 62.98. What we're definitely seeing is euro dollar and the pound dollar have been seeing a bit of a bid over the last 2 days, whereas the likes of the Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar are a lot more weaker. So a little bit of a mix there. All right, so potentially we're seeing a further decline, but you really need to look to sell some form of rally. So on your 4-hour chart, you could be looking to sell the next retracement on the 4-hour chart if you want to get short. All right, so monitor your fib on the 4-hour chart for a rally back up to a 62 or 79% level. If you want to get short, really, the opportunity to get short was, I think, Friday there. There's always the highest probability level for your short. And this has been working very nicely with support and resistance. See how we broke below day support here, became resistance. We broke through support, became resistance. So now, you know, two opportunities really, broken support becoming resistance twice there. All right, we can't go back in time. There's always the best opportunity time to get in, and this is not the best opportune time. You need to look to sell a rally at the moment, even if it's just intraday. Pulling back within the candle. See whether we can target down here at 64.58. If we get a clear break below there, we could be moving down to 62.98 area, 63 level down here. All right. And let's move along. We covered these. Let's just see what the Eurodollar is doing. Right, it's near the low of its day still. Pound. All right, New Zealand yen. Now, this looks rather, I'm just going to get rid of the daily levels. Just have my weekly and monthly levels on here. Now, I'm on video this morning about New Zealand yen. I said, watch 87.30 because that's that weekly top over here. Now, this looks quite a mess. Now, which way is it going? You could say this is a higher top to the last top. This is a higher bottom to that bottom, but I don't know if that's quite the way it's going, because on the weekly chart, if you look at what happened last week, had a massive rejection up at the top there, and we've had a down week. We had a down week at the start of the week to trade back up, and we're just trading back up to that weekly high. These weekly highs are always very good at reference points to sell down from or buy up from. When you start to look at where the trend is, are we putting in a lower top? That's a horrible rejection up there at monthly resistance. Another monthly resistance high there. That's another monthly resistance high there too. We're rejecting 1, 2, 3 monthly highs. Can't hold above that weekly top either. All right, you've got your monthly chart if you want to look at those highs. Here they are. We performed these highs all last year. We can't live above them. Are we trading back down to monthly support, 80.57? All right, so weekly rejection last week, that's where I'm getting my bias of trend from. I know the day trend's up, but this is where trends can get confusing. All right. We've already started to sell down from 87.30. I think we're moving down towards maybe 85.20 this week, which is the next level of weekly support. All right, the weekly chart swings. That's the high to low. We rallied up almost 79%, rejected last week, and then we could be now moving down this way. All right, within the fib tool, price roadmap. All right, so let's drop down the 4-hour chart. Now, if we break below this low, it's going to be a lower bottom. So then I would look to watch where price moves down to, draw your fib to the low point, and then look to sell a rally, okay? We do have the New Zealand, let me just refresh my memory. We got the New Zealand inflation QQ tomorrow, so I wouldn't do anything on the New Zealand crosses till after that, because that could get exceptionally volatile depending on how the figure prints. But monitor, monitor what price does. It might offer you a rally point. Might offer you a rally point, maybe back up to 87.30, or wherever the 79% fib level is of this range, it may just come up to 79% fib to offer you then a failure point to trade down. All right. So look for the next 4-hour rally, looking to trade in line with that weekly rejection candle that we saw last week. That's what I'm looking at there. New Zealand dollar, very much like the Aussie dollar, and potentially we have a double top, triple top kind of scenario here. Been very difficult over the last month in terms of where's the long-term trend, because this kind of maybe the same on the Aussie. This kind of maybe said, okay, we're going up, we're going to pull back and go higher, but clearly that's not happening. Price projection for the double top, triple top. All these highs through here that we're failing at is down at 55.85. Of course, we need to break this middle point, which, you know, has to be done, and maybe we can't. We'll have to wait and see. At the moment, we're testing weekly supports. Of course, this isn't where you want to sell. I don't want to sell in support. 2 days ago, you know, Friday looking, this is exactly like I showed you on the Aussie. Broken support becomes resistance on the day chart. All right. Difficult one to get on board now because we're getting close to the bottom of the range. One of two things is going to happen. If we can keep moving down as we get towards this low, which isn't that far away, it's only 65 pips away. Price is either going to come down and hold and reverse back up, or we're going to see a break. And you're looking for the same thing. Break of support becomes resistance to move down. All right, that's the next trading opportunity to the downside, or we hold and reverse back up. All right. So if the day chart double top is going to run to fruition, then we need to see a break of 59.84. All right. We'll see what comes around. Of course, I wouldn't be doing anything on this pair. If I was trying to get short, I would probably have to wait till the news comes out tomorrow and see if it gives a friendly bounce. If I wanted to still get short. This could be a very contentious level. All right. And if I go back to the Aussie too, this could be obviously a very contentious level too. If you start to see both these pairs holding on support and moving back up, they tend to go in tandem. We could see, a reversal back up. Even for this Aussie dollar to come down to the 200% level down here, I'll just put a line in so we can see where it is, because I want to get rid of that fib. Whilst price could just continue straight down towards that, what it could do is the market could say we're overextended, and this whole range here that we're forming at the moment, we could come maybe down to about there, for example, then come all the way back up to here or there, 62 and 79% level, and then put a lower top in to move down. All right, so we're getting into a low area where we really need to keep committing day by day, because if we start to stall, we could see a rally back up. All right. That's why when you're dealing with a double top and it's reversed with a double bottom, you want to get in within the early phase, and then you don't have to worry about getting in the latter end of the move. And so I like to get, if I'm trading a double top and I'm getting in, I like to be getting in as I'm setting this up. I like to be getting in by that 79% level at top up here, so that when we're in this downward phase here, I'm not trying to get in. All I'm doing is managing my potential profit. All right. And managing to see where I think this is going to bottom out. And, in a perfect world, yes, now it just keeps breaking down to the target. But the more this moves down, the closer it's getting to reversing back up. So that's why it's always good to get in the early part of the move. Then you're not worrying about trying to get in. You're only worrying about how you manage your trade. All right, because we're more than, if that's the target down there, we are more than halfway to the target. In fact, we're 127% towards the target at the moment. All right, the more it moves down, the closer we get to the target. You have to bear that in mind. And as you're saying that New Zealand have interest rates next week. Yep. So the market will be looking to that as well. What will be happening tomorrow is whatever comes out from this New Zealand inflation expectation, that's going to set the market's thought process towards then what will happen. Let's just see when it's happening next week. Next Wednesday. Doesn't tell us at the moment what they're expecting, but whatever comes out from tomorrow is going to then be the precursor to what to expect the next week. And then the market will start to factor that in. All right, let's move along to the dollar yen. Now, structurally, this is all weekly uptrends. Did have a nasty weekly candle last week, which, you know, if we can't take out, we can't trade up this week and take out the high of the week, then we could hold here and roll over. But at the moment, it's very much higher bottom to a higher top. Higher bottom here came on top of weekly support. You know, as I said earlier, there's always a great time to get in. This was the great time to get in. All right, now we're heading up towards the weekly top, or close to, where sellers could start to govern. All right, now last week's candle was a little bit dirty, and we might not take out the high last week. And there's always the potential when the CPI data comes out this week. If it comes out US dollar negative, we could see this start to sell down. I'm mindful that we have this range here. See how we got a fraction short of daily resistance last week? See those 3 days? We couldn't close one day above the 79% level of that drop. And really all this move, which has been up and down and up, is really just all that move up here filled an imbalance that was in here. All right, if we move to the 4-hour chart, an imbalance started over here. All right, and amazingly, in fact, there may be a bit more imbalance up to there, but we just use that one candle there for its imbalance. Price pretty much came to the top of that imbalance there. Right, quite amazing. All right, and then we've moved down. Now there's a possibility here. Hopefully I'm not the only one seeing it. Left shoulder area, head, right shoulder here. See how we're holding at the 79% level today? So as I said, 3 trading days here on the day chart couldn't close above the 79% level. Today, all we could do is trade up to the 79% level of that range and of the larger range. There's 2 79% levels overlapping there. So there is a potential that this could be a right shoulder and we could turn down this way. It's a little bit difficult. The day chart is most definitely up. It's just in an area where selling pressure can come in. And of course, we're waiting for the CPI data. So the market might not want to commit above here before Thursday, but then may want to commit when the data comes out on Thursday. So tricky. Ultimately, you could be watching, it's about 140, what's the number up here? 143.38 approximately. You can watch there on a 15-minute chart. You can watch to see if this comes back up again there today. And if you start to see it hold, just look for a very tight trendline break entry if it offers you. If you get a minimal risk entry, then, you know, if you're wrong, you're wrong. But if you're right, you could have a very good risk to reward to the downside. And we've had quite an imbalance form through this period earlier in the day. Kind of started. Some of it's been filled. It's been filled to about there at the moment, maybe. All right, so there's a bit of imbalance there that may be needing to get filled. So this coming back up here for a final test today. If you start to see it roll over, get a tight entry to the downside, you can just then see what happens. Of course, if that does roll over here, that of course is going to offer what we're seeing on the Euro Yen here, help that roll over more from the top of range 2. And of course, the Aussie Yen moved down and the Pound Yen moved down. So and that would, fall in line with what I've been saying, that the euro dollar and the pound dollar could move up, because that means the dollar yen maybe moves down with, the dollar getting a little bit weaker there as well. So monitor that. All right, finally, let's just have a look at gold. All right, monthly chart here. Are we dealing with a triple top up here? Looks exactly the same on the weekly, that triple top. Lower top forming here. If we break below this low, for sure, we have a downtrend. It's a bit mixed in terms of the major swings. Higher bottom, higher top, higher bottom, lower top. Is that a change? Not able to hold above that 1959 level anymore. Support is coming in from over here previously at 1916. Just holding to its downtrend. I mean, still, this will probably go a bit berserk on Thursday. I think, if that downside is still going to hold true, still the best level to watch is up here at 1959. That still has the opportunity, if I use the big range, 62 level overlaps at 1960. Just drop that to the 4-hour chart. Now up here would be the area to watch. Been well used 1950 for support and resistance. It could be well used again this week. All right, that would be the level I'll be watching there for a rally back to. All right, as well, whilst I'm using that, that's a day chart top. This is the range of last week. So if I draw 2 fibs in, we're going to get a bit of a 62 to 79% area up here, 62 to 79%, and your weekly resistance. That area there would be a good area to watch. It moving back up to the 79% level is going to fill any imbalance in here too that hasn't been filled yet. Okay, see that imbalance down here? Got that filled it. There's an imbalance in there at the moment, so let's just draw it in. There's an imbalance. There, just there. All right, so that's in the area that I'm just talking about. So depending on what the news brings, we could see maybe a spike up into that area and then watch for a turnover. That day chart trend is down. Weekly trend maybe is getting down. It's showing you a lower top, so look to sell a rally, okay? So it's going to be a game of patience this week for sure. Having all your levels in, I just want to prove the point. Job figures on Friday. I can show you 2 pairs where if you had your chart set up, that pound still moving down. It's not holding to that area at the moment. Maybe it's going for the lower level. But here's the 4-hour chart. I want to go up to the day chart. Ahead of the job figures, Thursday we had a rejection and we rejected on weekly support. All right, where did the low of Friday come in after the job figures? On weekly support. All right, so having all your levels in, you can still get a trade away if you've got all your levels in, and then you start to watch what price does at the levels. Because on Friday, you can see that spike down and we started to move back up. Having that level there, watching, maybe you could have done something close to that area or as it took out this swing point here back to the upside. You could have been looking to trade to the upside, thinking that weekly support's holding there. It's the same deal on the euro dollar. We were down on day support. All right, there's your day support and the 79% level. On Friday, 15-minute chart, we spiked down below support, came back up. All right, so having the levels in, we start to see them holding. You know, if you've got the levels in first of all, and then you start to see these reactions time and time again at these key levels after the news, you might get the confidence to trade. Pound dollar, where do I think good support is, ISO? Well, intraday at the moment, I've been watching. This is the range. So this is the range of yesterday. And because we had a positive day yesterday, I've just been monitoring this area at the moment, 62 to 79% level. However, I don't know if that's going to start to hold yet. There's a bigger range over here. Friday's range. And I mean, the perfect level, if we kept going down, would be down at weekly support, but whether or not we can get down there today, I don't know. But if we do get a deeper move down today, down here at the 79% level of Friday's trading range, with the figure down here, would be a very good level. This is a nice area if it starts to hold and turn around. The 79% retracement at the moment of yesterday's trading range. If it doesn't start to hold, it just keeps trading down, doesn't give you a signal that's reversing. Down here around about the 127 level, okay? All right, what's that euro dollar doing? It's trying to get down to the area that I've been watching. We're on 957 down to 943 daily support. All right. All right, so we're going to get a dip on these pairs and then turn around. You can monitor those pairs. All right, everybody, just give you a heads up for what's coming up on the webinar front. Tomorrow, I'm going through what I call bring it all together. I'll be taking support and resistance, VIPs, pivots, the figure, all the tools that I've been teaching you over the last, I guess, 6 to 8 weeks, and showing you how I bring all those tools together to create high probability trading levels for the trading day. And generally when I'm trading, and like I've just been showing you there on the euro dollar, the highest probability trading area is down here. All right. So I just look at the highest probability trading areas for the day. And if price gets there, then I will look to trade if I like what I see. If price doesn't get to those levels, I generally don't trade in the day. All right. So I'll go through how I do it all, bring all the nuts and bolts together. That's tomorrow's webinar at 7 p.m. Okay. So if you want to come and jump into that webinar, that will be at 7 p.m. Just register your interest at the webinar page, and then more analysis on Thursday ahead of the US CPI. All right, everybody, thanks very much for your company this evening. Have a great trading week if I don't see you. Slav, thank you. Adrian, thank you. Thanks, everybody.